the first sip of a drink, especially when you're on the bank, is always absolutely incredible. Right, here we go then. Just recasting the right hand rod. We'll see what happens if I don't say anything. Oh, beer, you know what I mean. It's absolutely lush, isn't it? Right, what an absolute result then. Absolutely mega. I didn't think it was going to happen. It was cold up here last night. Welcome to a video. We are back on the bank and you join me on the secret little farm pond or the hidden reservoir, and it's a lovely place. As always, it's sort of in the middle of nowhere, and it's surrounded by this lovely valley, and it is a really nice place. It's hidden from the surrounding road, so unless you sort of know about it on the grapevine, it is a little secret little pond really, and it is available on a club ticket or on a little day ticket, but a lot of people don't actually realise it's here, and so it's very lightly fished and doesn't get too much pressure. So it's a lovely little place, and it's a very nice place to spend a few hours on an afternoon in the winter. Now, I've just walked all the way across a couple of fields through a load of boggy mud and stuff. It's a bit of graft getting here, which is another reason it tends to get a little bit ignored. But I'm up on the lake. There is one guy actually fishing, which is a bit surprising, but he's over towards the dam end, and I think he might be packing up. So he had 3 rods out, which is also not allowed, so I don't know whether he's fishing it a little bit on the sly and has sort of just seen it and come and had a go and don't really know too much about it. But to be honest, I haven't really got the time to go over and have a chat because I've only got a few hours of fishing, so I need to obviously get some rods out, get some rods fishing, and yeah, see if we can catch one on another short session. So without mucking around too much, let's get the rods out of the bags, get them out, get some bait on them, and see if we can catch a fish. Let's have one. Here's my new bag for my bait, new little freezer bag. My DNA pop-ups in there. I just keep mixed pop-ups in there, and I'm just flavouring in the bug. I've then got my oily ground bait mix. Right, this is the rig then. So I've got 15-pound main line. I've got about 18 inches of tubing, through into a hybrid quarter lead clip. I've got a 3-ounce lead, and I've got my little Ronnie section. So the boom on here is 20-pound like fluorocarbon, which has been crimped. I've got one of the quick change ESP links on there, which I use to create the movement for my Ronnie section, and that means that I can take my Ronnie section on and off really quickly, which means I can change them if the hook ends up getting blunted off. I can change the hook nice and easy. And then I've got my Slip D Ronnie section, that is a size 4 crank hook, and then I've got a 12mm Fruitalicious pop-up on there. The other rig is pretty much the same, although the boom section is ESP tungsten loaded, and the hook bait is a pink peril. So yeah, it's a slightly different hook bait, slightly different boom section, just to try different presentations really. And all I'm doing is I nick a little bag of the oily ground bait on, pull the slip D nice and tight, wrap the PVA around, and then just nick it back through, and that just stops it tangling up. So what I'm going to do is this one, I actually saw a bit of bubbling straight out in front of me, so this one I'm literally going to just flick out, not too far, like that. Let that sink a bit, and I'll just put that on the bait runner. Right, this one's on the pink peril. On goes the lead. Oily bag of ground bait. I'm going to put this one a bit further out. There we go. I have to do a bit of a side cast on that because there's an overhanging tree above me, so if that looked a bit strange, I did a little bit of a side whip. Right, that's those two out. Right, the rods are out then, we are fishing, and I thought I'd just quickly tell you why I've got into this area. So mainly, I've actually seen a little bit of activity. I've seen a bit of fizzing, a bit of bubbling. It could be silvers or bream potentially, but I do think it looks more like it's going to be carp. I've not seen anything jumping out or anything rolling or showing, so I've not really had a lot to go on. There was a guy over towards the dam end when I got here, and to be fair, he was just sat in his chair looking at his phone, looked pretty startled when I walked in through the gate. So A, he's either not meant to be here, he has actually now left, so it could be that he wasn't meant to be here, or absolutely nothing's been happening. So he's just been sat on his phone trying to entertain himself. So I kind of thought to myself, that didn't look like the one. Now, off of previous knowledge, at this time of year, in these kind of conditions, I have caught well in this area. So it's about 7 or 8 degrees today, flat calm, feels really nice and comfortable, the weather, feels pretty carpy. We've had quite a bit of sun, which is obviously going to get the water warmed up, might get the fish in the upper layers a little bit, but it's kind of clouded over a little bit this afternoon, so I don't think they're going to be right up in the water. I do think it's potentially going to get them moving a bit though, so the fact that I've seen a bit of fizzing and some activity, I think is a good indication that there could be some fish around. Now, I fished this quite a lot over the years since I was a kid, and I do know that this area has produced fish for me in the past. So all I've done is kind of replicated what I have done in previous sessions, which has done me well. So there's an old riverbed that runs through, so I've dropped one rod out onto the riverbed, I've dropped one rod and a little bit shorter, I've scattered a little bit of food around one of the rods, and I've left the other one just with a little mesh bag of bait around it. So slightly different tactics, a little bit of food around one, just a mouthful around the other, and hopefully it'll produce a bite. But I'm feeling confident. But I'm feeling very parched because I've walked across the field, so I'm going to dig the kettle out, get a brew on, and hopefully we get disturbed by a carp. Right then, well, I've made that drink that I spoke of. I decided to have a coffee, as I do prefer coffee to tea really, but I try not to have too much coffee. But yeah, first sip anyway. Oh, lush. The first sip of a drink, especially when you're on the bank, is always absolutely incredible. I don't know what it is, but there's something about when you're out on the bank, out in the fresh air, and you make a drink, sit down, or, you know, I am stood up, and have that first sip. There's something about it. It is the best sip you can ever have when having a drink. So anyway, I guess it's comparable to that first sip of a beer when you sort of go out and that for a few drinks. That first sip is always the best. That sort of first quench of your taste, and you taste that beer. You know what I mean? It's absolutely lush, isn't it? So it's the same with a drink, I think, when you're out on the bank. That first one, you know, you've got walked all across the field, you've got your rod sorted, everything's done, you've kind of, you know, your pitch is set, you know, you sit down, make a drink, have that first first sip, and it's almost like that reward for all that effort you've just put in. So anyway, that's how I feel when I have a drink on the bank. But on a serious note, I've not been watching the water for a bit, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stand around, watch the water as much as I can. There's no one else on here, so I can sort of make my way up and down the bank a little bit. Obviously I'm not going to go miles away from the rods, but I can sort of go down towards the dam a little bit, or sort of go a little bit further up the bank and sort of keep an eye on the top end, and just try and see if anything is showing anywhere else. So there's still been a bit of movement in front of me, so I'm still confident where I am, but it's getting to that time when the light levels are going to change and there is a chance that something's going to give itself away. So if it does, I want to be able to act on it, because you know I'm on a short session. Any opportunity is going to be a reward potentially. So anyway, we'll see what happens if I don't see anything. Oh, whoa, happy days. That was a nice liner, that. I thought I was going to go then. Well, I was going to say, if I don't see anything, hopefully one of these rods goes, and after that liner, that is quite a nice little indication that maybe something happened. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy my drink, and hopefully that rod goes blasting off. Right then, because nothing's happening, and I've had a bit of a liner, there seems to be a bit of indication, a bit of activity still in the swim. I'm going to redo the rods, just put a fresh bag of the oily ground bait out there, in the hope that that sort of boost of attraction might bring something in to the area, because there's definitely some fish in the zone, I think. So I think just putting a nice fresh bag of that oily ground bait out could potentially get us a bite. So it's not going to do any harm, that's for sure. So let's get this one back out there, and then we'll redo the other one. Right, here we go then. Just recasting the right hand rod. Just putting a fresh bag of attraction out there. Hopefully that will stir up a bite. It's not going to do any harm, that's for sure. Drop on the old bobbin. Just redo the left rod. Yep, that was absolutely fine. Presented lovely. I'm just redoing the left rod, exactly the same. Just a fresh bag of the little ground bait mix. And I'll just slip it back out there. See if that produces a bite. The rig's come back absolutely fine, so everything was fishing perfect. I'm not surprised, you know, a Ronnie presents really well. These slip Ronnies are absolutely brilliant, and the bottom's really clean here, to be fair, other than maybe a bit of debris from the trees. So presentation wise, it's about as easy as it gets really on this lake. But anyway, let's get this left hand rod back out, and yeah, hopefully one of them goes rattling. Well, I'm going to have to do a funny little side cast. There we go. Donk. Much deeper out there. That's out towards sort of the stream bed. Much deeper. It's always worth having them in different depths of water, covering different areas. Right, what an absolute result then. Absolutely mega. I didn't think it was going to happen, and it's turned the session right around. I've been watching the water as much as I can, scanning the water for signs of fish, and yeah, it's absolutely paid off. So while I was sort of on the end of the swim watching the water, I saw a roach fart, absolutely turning the session around. Come on. Right, so now I've calmed down after that little result. I thought I'd let you know what's been going on. Absolutely nothing. So yeah, I'm blanking, and yeah, I've not really seen anything to go on. I've not seen anything show. It seems really devoid of carp at the moment. So there's a lot of silver showing. There's the odd bream flopping about here and there, but yeah, I've not seen any carp. I can't believe it, if I'm honest. I don't think I've ever been on here and not really seen anything show properly. So I've got absolutely nothing to go on. I mean, obviously nothing's happened in this swim. I could potentially have just moved to a different area, chucked them out, and maybe landed lucky and got on some fish. But it would have been random. So I don't know really. So anyway, it's literally slowly getting to the end of the session. I think I've got about half an hour left, so I really hope it kicks off and we have a bite in the dying hours, but dying half an hour. But anyway, it's not happening at the moment, but you never know, it could all turn itself around. One of those rods could go rattling and we could have a nice little winter result. So it's still time to play and we're still in it, so it can still happen. Probably won't, but it can. Right then, well, I think that's going to be coming to the end of the session now. I'm just going to do an outro while I got time and there's still a little bit of light left. So within about, I reckon, 20 minutes or so, I'm going to be reeling in the rods. I think the light is probably going to be gone by then. But anyway, it looks like it's going to be a blank. I really thought it was going to have one. You might tell throughout the video I was feeling pretty confident. It was so mild today, I really thought I was going to have one. But although I've watched the water like a hawk, I've seen absolutely nothing carp related. Had a little bit of a liner, could have been anything. It's just not happened. I've not seen anything to move on. I've not seen anything else really that I could do any better. So it's fishing, isn't it? You're not always going to catch. Sometimes they just don't give themselves away and it is a bit of a guessing game. So anyway, I've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's nice getting out on the bank. Hopefully you've liked watching the video. If you're not subscribed, then please subscribe and follow the channel, and also check out our social media, which will be showing below. We put a lot of content onto Instagram especially, which is something worth following us if you want to see what's going on, see some behind the scenes, some extra little bits of video here and there, and some different content to what we put on the YouTube channel. Definitely follow us on there. Until next time, get out on the bank, be lucky, and I will see you in the next video, which will be probably next Tuesday about 6 o'clock. See you then.